My name is David Burt, and I work in Microsoft in Cloud and Enterprise Marketing, which is mostly about Azure. And I'm here with my colleague, Om Vedi, who works in Office 365 Engineering. So we're going to talk about cloud and trust and the Microsoft Trust Center and accessing documents and other resources on there. So the Microsoft Trust Center is, here, I'll just show it to you. It's a website, and here is where we track things about compliance, about security, about privacy policies, and how they affect our customers and potential customers, and give people information about them. And we keep up with the latest stuff. You may have heard about GDPR at the conference so far, the General Data Protection Regulation. That's the new privacy law for the European Union, and basically means you have to comply with it if you want to do business in the European Union. Otherwise, there are some serious penalties for that. So that's where you go to find that. We created the Trust Center about a year and a half ago. We launched it in response to our customers because they had so many questions. This world has become so complex and fast-moving when it's the cloud and it's international that they need answers to. Because we're subject to all kinds of national and regional laws like the GDPR. We have laws in this country that we're subject to as well. We have industry standards within countries. For example, in this country, we have the HIPAA, the healthcare law. If you want to sell into healthcare, you need to comply with that. Cross-border data flows. A lot of countries have specific regulations and cultural norms around that. So, for example, we have, in addition to the global public cloud we have that has Azure and Office 365, we also have a cloud in Germany. We have a cloud in China because the Chinese law requires that you have to have a local Chinese partner to have a cloud in China with information about Chinese citizens. And then we also have a U.S. government cloud to comply with U.S. government law. Multinational corporations have to comply with this. When we announced our GDPR content, the first sub I heard from was Japan. They wanted that content translated quickly because of their customers. They do a lot of business in Europe. They're very interested in that too. International standards like PCI DSS, if you want to sell, if you want to process credit card data internationally, you need to comply with that. So these are some questions that customers really have about using the cloud with Microsoft. They say, okay, if I put my data in the cloud for a product like Power BI, how can I trust that? What assurances do you give me? The Trust Center gives the details of those policies and that information. If I'm in the European Union and I'm using Azure, I want to know which standards it complies with, not just Azure, but which services within Azure, and Office 365 too are made up of sub-services, which comply with which standards in which country. We sort all that out for you. Who has access to my data if I'm in something like Dynamics, and different, which Microsoft personnel, when do they have it, what about their subcontractors? We provide all that information. And audit reports and certificates. We just recently, this is what Om is going to talk to you about, started providing audit reports and things of that sort that we didn't used to access. So that's what the Trust Center, why we set it up. We set it up to address customer concerns, to provide like a one-stop shopping where you could get answers to these questions as a reliable source for policy statements and information. Here's where you'll find the official truth about what our privacy policy is, about which standards we comply with, about the details of all of that. And then a centralized resource for news and facts and white papers. We have about 2,000 different resources on there that people can access. So here is the Trust Center. And as I said earlier, it looks like this. And we have several different ways that people can access the information on there. We have a nice menu system where you can go in and look at by security, privacy. You can look at different privacy standards, policies. Where's your data located? Who can access it? You can access by role. You can access by subject or by product. These are all the products that are on here. We have all the cloud products on here, all the enterprise cloud products, as well as Microsoft Server. Or you can also access by role if you're a risk assessor, security officer, governance and privacy officer. So Om's going to show you about if you're a risk assessor, what you would access.
Thanks, David. So as David said, we have a role-based packages for you. So for example, if you're a risk and compliance assessor, you can click here, and we are sharing the information across Microsoft Cloud. So one, you will get to see how we comply with various global regulations. You will see our reports, and as long as you have a Azure Active AAD identity, you will able to get that information without any help from Microsoft or without any help from your tenant admins. So you just click here. So for example, if you want to look at Azure's penetration testing report, you just click here, and it will download that information for you. It will see if you are signed in or not. If you are signed in, it will ask you to sign in. And then if you have signed in, it will basically download the report for you. So example here, you see Azure's penetration testing report, what were the findings. So you get detailed information about our security. We want to be very transparent with you. Going back, not only that information, but you also get information about how you can manage data security. So security and compliance is a partnership between cloud and you. 80% of heavy lifting we do, but there is still 20% that your tenant admins have to do. And we have given you the information and tools for you to make sure that your tenant admins are configuring your tenancy appropriately. And then lastly, we also wanted to show you how we do things, what we are doing in terms of implementing various security technologies or controls. So example, if you see how we do multi-tenant isolation, how we do data encryption, how we do data resiliency, so that all that information is here. And more, we're also trying to give you the in-depth information about what, as I said, you can do, right? So for example, let's look at the ISO control companion preview. So in this workbook, you will get information about how we have implemented the controls. So let me show you that real quick. So over here, you will get to see how we have implemented the controls, this part, but you also get to see what features that you can use and what you need to do. And wherever possible, not only we have shown you what features in Microsoft Cloud that you can use, but also PowerShell commands, so for you to see how you can configure those features, or you see what are the existing configurations. So we are trying to make it very easy by giving you all the information that you need from understanding what we are doing and what you need to do. So that's kind of information we have. Going back to David, and he will talk to you about some more information that is available through Microsoft Trust Center.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think also didn't mention, you can log in if you have an account to access those documents. If you don't, you can sign up for a trial too. We'll let you do that. So as I said on the Trust Center, if you want to ask questions about privacy, security, compliance, we have the answers here. If you're interested in privacy, here we break down each one. As I said earlier, I was talking about GDPR. We have a page about that. How we manage your data, how we respond to government requests, where's your data located. If I wanted to know who can access my data, I can go there. And here it tells you about it. It gives you a list of some of our core policies with some resources along with it. So it says, it tells you that you can access your data at all times. We give people that right to do that. How we limit access to customer data from other customers and by Microsoft personnel. Who can access your data? And we limit access to your customer data by subcontractors too. So we get that request a lot from the European Union requires that we provide a list of subcontractors. So we have one unified list of all the subcontractors for all the different cloud services, or people can go and get that and download it. It's in a PDF file. How we respond to government requests for data. We had a lot of requests for that a couple of years ago with the Snowden thing, and we continue to get interest in that. We have done a lot to really carefully spell out what our policies are. Customers can go and get that, and it tells you when we will give access, what standards we'll comply with, and it also will give you deeper access to, like our law enforcement request report that we publish and our national security orders report. So we try to be very transparent about all of that. If you are interested in a security topic, so we have a security both organized by topics like auditing, logging, cybercrime, operational security, encryption, identity, nice identity booth around the corner, or by product. You can go in by each product and it gives you a breakdown of each one of those. If I'm interested in encryption, for example, I can go in there and look, and it gives you kind of an overview about what our approach to encryption is, along with some resources. And then it will also tell you about here's some of the encryption standards that we use, and then it goes through product by product, each one of them, the cloud ones, and it tells you when we use encryption, in which state for data in transit, for data at rest, and then if you want to go in there, take you more and more into, you all get into the technical details and resources that give you as much information basically as you need. A big chunk of the site is devoted to compliance. So we have a lot of standards to comply with. Azure has about 50 different ones. So we keep adding to this list and making it bigger and bigger. These are all the different standards that our cloud products comply with. We don't have GDPR on there yet because we don't comply with it yet. They haven't formalized the standard, but we're working on it. So we have that in the privacy section. But many of the more popular ones, a lot of overseas ones, we have several standards in China. And so, for example, if I were interested in European Union model clauses, and in that question that I asked, wanting to know if somebody wanted in the European Union wanted to know which Azure services complied with EU model clauses. Oh, it's not clicking on me. Come on. Oh, there it goes. So we have a page for each one of these standards that breaks all this down. It gives a high-level overview, and then it gives an audit. There's no audit on here because it's an attestation. We don't actually get certified. We go and attest that we've done that. And then here it lists which services per product. The ones for Dynamics and Office, those are in documents that are broken down. The ones for Azure here, we list them all out here. So somebody that wants to see that, it can go each individual Azure service per region, per country, and see that. We also have a lot of frequently asked questions. The common questions that we get from customers about these individual standards, and we provide answers to them. And then we have contact form. If you're not satisfied with your answer, we will follow up and try and answer for you. Okay? So, and we also, like I said, we have on for each product, we have a different page for each product too as well. All of these, and we break this down. So if I want to go into, let's say, Power BI, it gives you trust-related information about that. It gives you an overview, and then it talks about our privacy policies. It links into our main page. It gives you an overview of security, and it also gives you an overview of our compliance. And it'll show you which standards that comply with. I can also go in and each one of these also has a security page, and here it goes into more and more detail. It will take you down and give you progressively more and more detail to it. If you want to go into how our infrastructure works, here it'll tell you, it talks about WFE clusters and backend clusters, and eventually it will take you into documentation, will lead you out. So the whole point of this site really is to provide customers with one single point at Microsoft where they can go and find all their security, privacy, compliance information. And then we've just recently added all these audit reports, all this configuration information, and people can access it. As Om said, if you are an existing customer, you can access all those documents. If you want to be a customer, thinking about being a customer, you can sign up for a trial and get access to them too. We're continuing to add more and more resources all the time. We have this right now in 10 languages. We're adding more as we get more requests and trying to keep it as current as we can. So did you want to show some more about
Yeah, I wanted to talk about one more feature which is coming to Service Trust, which is currently shipped through Office 365 Security and Compliance Center, which is Service Assurance. And in Service Assurance, we have a feature called Audited Controls. So in this, we are trying to give you very detailed information. So for example, for ISO 27001 standard, you get to see all the control areas, all the controls, and for each controls, you will be able to see how we have implemented that control. And if it is technical implementation control, you will get technical details of how we implemented that control. You will get to see how the third-party auditors have tested that control, when that control was tested, when that control was tested here, it is passed or failed. If it is failed, currently for ISO, we don't have any controls that are failed. But if the control is failed, we will tell you what we are doing about it, what is the risk of that failure. So you will get complete transparency around what controls we have implemented and what their actual status is. It's not just list of controls. It's basically deep dive into how we implement and how we test those controls. So as of now, It is for ISO 27001 and ISO 27018. But pretty soon we will have NIST 853. So you will see like 500 more controls that we will show you how we have implemented and how our third-party auditors have tested it and when the last tester was done, and we'll continually keep that information updated to you. So the point here is that we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need to perform a risk assessment, whether you are trying to come on board to Microsoft Cloud, whether you're already a customer and you're performing annual risk assessment, or you wanted to basically make sure that you are mission critical data, which is more sensitive, you can move that to cloud. So anything related to the risk assessment, we wanted to provide you resources on our Microsoft Trust Center. So that's our presentation. If you have any questions, we will take any questions. Oh, so last, we don't have slide, but if you can do the submit the reviews.
No? You get a free LED clock right
at the front, then you will be get the prize if
it's an LED clock.
LED clock. So we appreciate you providing the feedback and review. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate that.
Thank you, and we'll be around if people have questions. Thank you.